the United States of America, home ownership is often seen as a symbol of stability and prosperity. But for many immigrants, navigating the real estate market can feel like an overwhelming challenge. In this edition of Serious Business, we will explore how immigrants can make the leap into home ownership and why a home could be one of the most important steps toward securing a future in the United States.
Naitwa Bani.
Bani, naitwa Bonventure.
Bonventure.
So man.
Meet Musa Mmugambi, a teacher turned realtor based in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Originally from Kenya, Musa brings a unique perspective to the home buying process. Today, he is here to show us the steps involved in buying a house and share crucial advice on what immigrants need to know when making one of the most important decisions of their lives.
Yeah, so this is the house we are selling. It's the one on the left side here. That's the half. So this is actually a duplex home. So there are three types of homes. There is a single family detached. That's the one that's just by itself. And then there are duplexes like these, two houses. And then there is the row homes. They are also called townhomes. In terms of location where you want to buy a home, it's really going to be different. So for example, if you have small kids and you want them to, they're about to go to school or they're going to school, then you want to look for a good school district. Now, if you have no kids and you are still looking for a home and you have no kids, then buying a house in the city is not a bad thing, because you're going to buy it cheap, you're going to pay less, and you're going to build equity from there. As a home buyer, you really want to be very cautious what you're buying, because a house probably is going to be your most expensive investment you make, and therefore you really want to make an informed decision. It's very important to really do your due diligence. There's a phrase in real estate we say, buy and be aware. Look for the materials that have actually been used. If it's a freshly remodeled home like this, you're looking at what materials did the owner use. You know, if you look somebody using quartz, that's the highest of all countertops, right? You want to look for, you know, did they really cut corners? You know, you can point those things out pretty quickly, especially if you're you know, working with an experienced agent. But also, you know, when you're seeing a home, you really want to make sure that you have plenty of time. So let your agent schedule a showing not for 15 minutes. You know, open every door, look at the bottom of the sink and see whether there has been any leaks. Look at the, you know, the ceiling and see whether there are any water stains. You're looking for those things when you're purchasing a home. But make sure, the first thing as an agent, I tell all my buyers, open every little door when you get in there. Sometimes you're going to be buying a home where the person is still living there, and sometimes people think that, oh, I am encroaching in their space, or you feel shy. No. They allowed you to get in their house, and you're going to be occupying that home. So make sure you really open every door, the closet, and make sure that there is nothing that can deter you. We call it a material defect, which is anything that can potentially decrease the value of the home.
For many immigrants, the idea of purchasing a home might feel out of reach. The thought of financing a house can be intimidating, especially when faced with challenges like lack of credit or savings. But Musa assures us that home ownership is possible and more accessible than many think.
I want to talk to you about the programs for immigrants. I am personally an immigrant from Kenya. I came here 22 years ago, and I didn't get information about buying a house until 7 years later when I walked to a bank and I was told that I don't have credit. And I said, I have a master's degree and I don't know what credit is. So again, lack of information, you don't know what you don't know. For the immigrants, for people who are refugees, people who are here on green card, or you are on H1 visa, you can buy a home. Actually, when I started selling real estate, if you had to stay in Pennsylvania for 2 years and work for 2 years to be able to buy a house, that is not there anymore. You can actually use the work history from your country to actually buy a home here. I sold a home last year in York for a client who came to the country in March of 2024, before their first anniversary, which is now this March. They bought a home in December. Don't worry, even if you don't have down payment. I have seen buyers actually bring almost $0 to closing, because we can find first-time buyer benefit for you, and money is out there, like I've talked about, tenfold, PHFA, all those programs are there to give you down payment and closing cost assistance.
Let's break it down.
There are 4 types of major loans that you can get. You can get an FHA loan, a conventional loan, VA loan, or USDA loan. FHA loan is for people that have low credit or a lot of debts, and that is the bare minimum for down payment for that is 3.5%. Then we have conventional loan, which is the best loan. That is really the best of the best. It's conventional loan, which the minimum down payment can be as low as 3%. But that is really for people with good credit, low debt, and good credit history. And then you have the VA loan. You have to be a veteran. You have to have worked in the armed forces. And then there's the USDA loan. This is location limited. In other words, not every house actually qualifies for USDA. Any homes that are in the city itself, they don't qualify. It's homes that are outside of the city, and you have to check with the USDA map to know whether that home is qualified. And the advantage with the USDA loan is that you can borrow the whole amount. There's no down payment. You can actually buy with 0 down payment and finance the whole amount. Also, I am working with some programs that can assist you get closing cost assist. And 2 of those agencies, one is tenfold. That is county-based. So there is one here in Philadelphia, there is one in Lancaster, York, areas like those that can give up to $10,000 in closing cost assist to the buyer. But you have to qualify in terms of your financial health, or how much money you make. If you make too much money, then you don't qualify. And then there is the PHFA, Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. They also give closing costs up to $10,000 in closing assist. Those 2 programs, they are similar but different. The one for PHFA, that loan, that is still a loan, but you don't have to pay anything for the next 10 years. So every year they forgive you 10%. So if you stay in the house for 10 years, then you don't reimburse them anything. This money is given to encourage people to own homes, right? So that's why you don't pay anything, you don't pay it back, but they forgive you 10% every year. The tenfold one is never forgiven, and you don't have to make any payment. You stay in the house, you don't pay anything, but when you sell, you have to refund them their money. So again, they are used to encourage people to actually own homes.
Programs like this are helping immigrants overcome financial barriers and make home ownership more attainable. At a recent conference attended by Congolese immigrants, organizations like Tenfold and PFHA, along with experts in home valuations and title searches, educated attendees on the importance of home ownership and how to navigate the process.
Technically, you're borrowing this money and they are going to sort of preload some of the interest that's being accumulated
So
on this
vile
house.
yule mama anasema ni ya kwamba wakati unanunua nyumba wakati wa kwanza utakuwa unalipa pesa mingi sana ikiwa ni faida ile banki ambayo imekupea mkopo.
And so there is a potential that it will take you a little while till you really start to get to that position where the debt is starting to trickle down faster.
So itakuchukua muda kama miaka 5-6 hivi wakati utaanza kuona sasa hiyo deni inateremka haraka sana na hii mali inapanda haraka.
During the process of applying for your mortgage, it's important that you work with an evaluator to evaluate the house.
If I can see it, touch it, operate it, inspect it, I am going to test everything in your house.
Na wakati anaingia pale kwa hiyo nyumba, kama anaweza iguza, anaweza iangalia, ataangalia kila kitu katika hiyo nyumba.
The main object of this process is I am your advocate.
So kazi yake ni kuhakikisha kwamba wewe undanganywe na mtu yeyote.
Yeah, I don't work for the realtor, I don't work for the title companies, I don't work for the mortgage companies, I work for you.
One of the most important parameters when you apply for a loan is your credit score.
Your credit score is a very integral part of the mortgage process.
Hiyo kitu inaitwa credit ni ya muhimu sana kupata mkopo.
The best credit scores are over 700.
Ile credit inaitwa ni mzuri kabisa ni kutoka 700 na kupanda.
However, we have loan programs for people whose scores are as low as 540.
Lakini tuko na mikopo ya hata wale wako na credit ya chini mpaka 540.
The next part is going to the settlement, which is where the seller transfers the ownership to you.
Kitu ya mwisho sasa ni kuketi kwa meza ambayo inaitwa settlement table, wakati sasa yule mwenye nyumba ana kusainia ile cheti ya kutransfer nyumba kutoka kwake kuenda kwako.
It is important for you to do a search on your house.
The problem is,
Shida ni kwamba
you don't know the seller.
Wewe haujawahi kukutana na hiyo mwenye nyumba.
You don't know their history of ownership of the property.
Ujui wamekuwa wakimiliki hiyo nyumba namna gani.
And you don't know the history of ownership of the property over the last 100 years.
Na ujui hiyo nyumba imekuwa ikimilikiwa na nani, ama hiyo shamba hata kama nyumba ni mpya, hiyo shamba imekuwa ikimilikiwa na nani kwa miaka 100 na zaidi.
And the last thing you want is to inherit somebody else's problems with the property.
Na kitu ya mwisho ya mbaya ni kwamba utaki kumiliki shamba ambayo iko na shida ya mtu mwingine.
Right?
Right.
So what we do is we research the title to the property. We have people who are specially trained to search each and every owner of the property back for 40 or 60 or 80 or 100 years.
So kazi yetu tuko na watu wale ambao kazi yao masomo yao masomea ni masomo ya kutafuta historia ya hiyo shamba miaka 40, miaka 60, 100 na zaidi.
And as Musa knows,
na vile Musa anajua,
there's lots of times when we do that research where we find problems.
Na kuna wakati tunafanya hivyo na tunakuta kuna shida.
There's a number of times just in the last couple of years where the people who were selling the property thought they owned the property, they lived at the property, they paid the taxes at the property, but they didn't own the property.
Owning a home is not just about having a place to live. It's about creating security and financial stability for you and your family.
As a home buyer, you really want to be very cautious what you're buying, because a house probably is going to be your most expensive investment you make, and therefore you really want to make an informed decision.
The pride that comes with owning your own home is invaluable, and for immigrants, it can be a stepping stone toward building a stronger future in the USA.
It's about really knowledge. Do you know how to build wealth? Now I want to talk to you who is renting. I want to let you know that your landlord did not rent to you because they are kind to you that you're going to be homeless. No, they are renting to you because they are making money. Okay? So just note that. You know, you're claiming that our rent is cheaper than buying. Maybe, but you're looking at it in terms of money, but that person is actually building wealth from the monthly payments you're making on that particular house. There is no need to rent. You know, talk to us and we will give you information on how best you can own a home.
The path to home ownership may seem daunting, but with the right guidance, knowledge, and support, immigrants can take the first step toward a brighter future. Remember, owning a home is more than just a dream. It is an investment in your future. My name is Bonventure, and this is Moving Pictures Kenya, connecting people, inspiring Africa.